Hey there, beautiful people. It's Dina bringing another daily dose. As a mom, have you ever had those moments of dread? Like you know they're coming and you know they're going to be difficult. So you already build it up in your mind that it's going to be hard. So I have one of those situations today. So I want to share my little story, but I also want to share with you that my co-host and I, Christina, that does the Junk Drawer Mamas podcast with me. We launch a new episode every Wednesday. But anyway, we got one coming up pretty soon here about the summer dread. What do you do when you know your kids are going to be home all summer and now you've got to entertain them and now you got to deal with all the behavior issues all summer? What if you're a mom that works and now you got to figure out what to do with childcare? All of that. So we're going to be bringing that on that episode. But that made us really start to think about being intentional, about looking for the good in a situation, not looking for the dread in it. So today I have to go grocery shopping and do all my errands and all of that. And I don't have a babysitter, so I need to take 𝗂𝗄𝗄 with me. Now I usually will look at that like dread, like, oh my gosh, I got to take her with me. She's probably going to have a meltdown in the store. She's going to say she wants to go the first time we even get into the store. She's going to sit down in every single aisle. I don't know if you have one of those kids, but mine seems to not be able to walk 2 feet without sitting down because her legs hurt. But if we go to the park, she can run and jump and do all those things. But heaven forbid we should walk through a grocery store, 2 feet without her saying her legs hurt and she wants to sit down. So we always have a lot of conflict in the store. Or if there's a lot of shopping errands, I have a lot to do today. So I know that she's going to have to go to a lot of different stores and she's probably going to say, I want to go home. That's typically what I think of when I've got to go run an errand with her. So then I started thinking, what about if I am intentional about looking for the adventure and the fun with that? Just like Christina and I were talking on our podcast. We want to start this new summer fun movement. Let's actually be intentional about summer fun and really enjoy our kids this summer and really look at it from a different perspective. Now, we talk about moms dealing with extreme behaviors and we talk about special needs parenting. So it's in that situation that we were talking about that. Those situations where you're not really going to enjoy the summer because you know that it's going to cause a whole lot more stress. But if we looked at that differently and we looked at it with intention and we looked at it that God is partnering with us and we looked at it like this is going to be the best summer ever, that's about being intentional. So I want to do that every time I have to leave the house with 𝗂𝗂𝗄. I've got to replace those negative thoughts with positive ones. I've got to create those new neural pathways that I talked about in another video, where whenever we start thinking about things that are negative or our belief system, even if it was something that happened in the past, if we don't change that, then we're creating almost like this rut. So if you think about a path that you're walking, let's say you have a path in the forest, or, we used to live on a farm. So there was this path that literally was created through all the weeds and the tall grass of a field that we could get all the way to our well. We didn't necessarily carve out this path. It was walking back and forth that created the path. So it's the same way your brain is. The more times you think about that thing in that certain way, or your actions are in alignment with that, you're creating this rut, this path. Now you have to create a new path. So if we were to have created a new path to a different spot on the property, we would have had to start walking through tall weeds and all of that to create that new path. But eventually we would have created a path without even have to cut it down. Just walking over it over and over and over again would have created a new path. So it's the same thing with your brain. If you've created this negative path that being with my kids all summer long is going to be really, really hard, or going on a shopping trip with a special needs child is going to be really difficult, that's the path you've created because you've talked about it and gone through it in a negative way so much that that's what your brain thinks. So now you've got to be intentional. Let's create a new path. What if every time I leave the house with 𝗂𝗂𝗄, I'm excited because it's going to be an adventure? So I'm going to try this one out. I'm not saying that I've actually mastered this. I'm just saying that if we can be intentional about other things in our life, why can't I be intentional about taking my daughter, who typically is a challenge out in public? Why can't I turn that into an adventure? A lot of times we avoid certain situations because we don't want to be stressed out. We make it about ourselves, and that's where pride really comes in. If I'm uncomfortable, I don't want to do it. This is something that I don't want to do. Instead of taking your child out and letting them experience the world, especially if you've got one that can really test your buttons, like 𝗂𝗂𝗄, she deserves to experience the world too, regardless of whether I'm uncomfortable or regardless even if other people are uncomfortable watching her have a meltdown. That doesn't mean that I have to let that destroy me or that I have to, turn around and not go to the store. There's been many times that I'm like, okay, we're done shopping. And then I have to do my shopping trips in multiple days, which is definitely very time consuming because I don't want to put her in a difficult situation. Or I could actually just say, no, we're going to do this. And I could be intentional about making that fun for her. Now, I'm not saying it's always going to be fun for her, but anyway, this is really about being intentional and creating that new pathway in your brain. When I think about leaving the house, it is not going to be a negative thing. It's going to be fun. When I think of summer coming up and I've got to spend more time entertaining, and with Gracie, she definitely wants to be outside all the time. And we have a big in-ground swimming pool in the backyard, and I can't see her from the house. I can't see her from my office in here. So I have to either be outside with her, and she's a great swimmer, so she can definitely swim without me being in the pool with her, but I can't leave her unattended for a long period of time, which means I have to spend a lot of time with her. Luckily, I love being outside in the sun, and I love being in the pool, but I can't always be out there all day long. So in the summertime, it does require more of my time, and I used to look at that like I got to babysit her. I can't just do what I want. But if I'm looking at that like I'm enjoying time with her and I get to spend a beautiful day out in the sun and swim, and then I can rearrange my day to get all the other things that I have to do. Maybe I have to very intentionally get up a lot earlier while she's still sleeping to get my work done. Or maybe I'll have to do a lot more things in the evening. Instead of watching TV, I may have to get those things done because during the day, my time is required to be with her to manage her through the summer. This really is about changing the way you look at a situation more than the situation changing. Honestly, everything that I share on this channel is about that, is about changing the way you view a situation. You can thrive in all areas of your life, even if you're walking through a difficult situation. It does not need to take you out. I don't need to be destroyed every time I have to take my daughter on errands with me, whether we have to go shopping. And we have a lot of them today. So we're going to have fun. We're going to have intention. We're going to have an adventure. We could probably go through a store and I could use it as an educational thing, or I could use a scavenger hunt. You know, let's go find this. And she likes to hold the list and all of that. So anyway, even if she does sit down in the middle of the aisle, I can laugh. And other people watching can either laugh with me or they could mind their own business. I hope this encourages you to take on that challenge, especially this summer, and I'll be bringing more of that to you. Take on the challenge like this is going to be the best summer ever. This is going to be the best shopping trip I have ever been on. And then just make it an adventure and make it fun and start to create that new neural pathway in your brain. Get rid of that old dead path that you've gone down that just doesn't seem to work anymore. It doesn't go to the place that you really want it to go to. So maybe at some point it did, but it no longer serves you. It's time to create a new path. So go through the tall weeds and start to create that new pathway to that new adventure. So anyway, remember that the creator of the universe loves you. He created you for adventure and fun. He wants you to have fun with your life. He wants you to be intentional and build your relationships with your family and your friends. And I love you, and I can't wait for us to be back together again. So have an awesome day, whatever adventure you're going to be on.